Often, in the moments just before a profound quantum leap, life can take on a peculiar texture. Not chaotic, not exactly peaceful either, more like something beneath. The surface is shifting in ways you can't quite define. Conversations that once felt full now seem hollow. Routines that used to bring comfort suddenly lose their meaning. Even the ambitions you once chased with relentless drive begin to taste flat, like food that's lost its flavor. And this can feel unnerving, because the mind has been conditioned to think that growth is all about constant doing, constant striving, constant forward momentum. But the deeper truth is this. The strange quiet you're sensing is not stagnation, not indifference. It's one of the clearest signals that transformation is approaching. In physics, before a particle transitions into a new state, it passes through a window of uncertainty. Scientists describe it as a superposition, a moment, when the particle carries many possible realities at once, none yet anchored into form. Far from being a pause, this is the most dynamic condition imaginable. Every possibility exists at the same time. And right now, you are standing in that very state, a liminal doorway between versions of yourself, where the old is dissolving and the new is gathering shape in a timeline that already exists within the quantum field. Yet the human mind, addicted to linear progress, wrestles with this. It craves evidence, steps, results. But the quantum doesn't obey those rules. What you're experiencing now is the unraveling of your old vibrational design. Imagine your life as a vast tapestry of patterns, beliefs, and energetic imprints. For years, those threads have woven you into a particular frequency, tethering you to a specific timeline. But when your higher consciousness decides it's time to shift, that web begins to loosen, threads snap, old agreements dissolve. And because all of this happens energetically first, long before it shows up in the physical, the first thing you notice is the stillness, the emptiness, the absence of your old motivation. It can trick you into believing something's wrong. In truth, it's the strongest confirmation that something deeply right is unfolding. Spiritual teachings across cultures describe this stage as the void. Mystics call it the fertile darkness, the womb of creation, the invisible ground where new realities gestate before emerging into light. In the void, your soul is restructuring itself to match the reality you are summoning. The tools and habits that once guided you may no longer work, because they belong to the self you're leaving behind. Your task in this stage is not to panic, not to scramble, but to breathe into the silence, to understand that the quiet is not empty at all. It's saturated with quantum information, rearranging your reality in ways your conscious mind isn't equipped to track. Science echoes this wisdom. Studies on neuroplasticity show that the brain requires downtime in order to rewire. When you are stepping into a new frequency, your nervous system is recalibrating. Your predictive models are being rewritten, and your body is learning to stabilize at a higher energetic baseline. This recalibration is vital. You cannot carry the turbulence of the old timeline into the steadiness of the new. Release always comes before receiving. Picture the silence before a great orchestra begins. The lights dim, the audience hushes, the musicians ready themselves. That pause is not wasted. It's the very preparation for what's about to swell into sound. Or think of a bow pulled taut before an arrow flies. The tension is not delay, it is propulsion. Right now, the universe is drawing you back, not to hold you down, but to launch you into a trajectory that effort alone could never reach. Here's where many falter. They misread this quiet stage. They panic in the stillness, mistake the void for failure, and rush to fill the gap with old distractions. Old habits, old identities. But the more you resist, the longer you remain suspended between timelines. The ones who leap are the ones who lean into the silence, recognizing it as proof of momentum rather than the lack of it. When you begin to treat the stillness as a quantum loading screen for your next chapter, you start to notice subtle signals. A stray conversation sparks a sudden clarity. A long-held emotion releases unexpectedly. Something confusing for months suddenly feels obvious. These are not coincidences, they're micro-adjustments in your field, aligning you with the frequency of your new reality. So if you feel untethered, unable to return to the past, yet uncertain of the future, congratulations. You are exactly where transformation becomes inevitable. And in the time we share next, I'll show you not only how to endure this stage, but how to use it as rocket fuel for your leap. Because once you recognize it for what it is, you stop resisting and start aligning with your inevitable timeline. One of the great misconceptions about a quantum leap is that it doesn't often start with fireworks. Rarely does it arrive with thunderous signs from the cosmos. Instead, it begins with friction. Not the explosive kind that throws your world into chaos, but subtler dissonance, the sense that what once fit no longer feels right. Relationships that used to comfort you now feel constrictive. Work that once gave you meaning feels hollow. Even the voice inside your head sounds outdated, as though it belongs to a version of you that's already fading. This is the frequency mismatch phase, the moment your soul begins vibrating higher while parts of your external life still hum at the old resonance. In quantum physics, this state is known as decoherence. When two systems that were once in harmony begin to fall out of sync, the discomfort isn't a mistake. It's a message your current reality cannot sustain, the blueprint of where you're heading. Imagine trying to run modern software on obsolete hardware. The system lags, glitches, and crashes. Not because something broke, but because an upgrade is required. That upgrade is your leap. Spiritually, this is when many begin to question everything. Why does it feel like I'm unraveling when I'm supposed to be ascending? The truth is, you're not unraveling. You're detaching from your old timeline. The friction is the very force propelling you toward the new. It's like standing with one foot on two drifting boats. Eventually, you'll have to choose one. And the boat aligned with your frequency will always feel lighter, even if it means leaving the familiar behind. Yet here lies the trap. The mind, uneasy with uncertainty, clings to the old. It urges you to patch what's breaking, fix what's dissolving, repair what's fading. But in the quantum field, restoration of the old is regression. What feels like collapse is actually the shedding of weight, the release of beliefs, patterns, and identities that cannot cross with you into the next timeline. If you rush to tape them back together, you delay the leap. If you allow them to dissolve, you accelerate. Physics offers us a mirror. An electron moving to a higher orbit must absorb a precise amount of energy, no more, no less. Once that threshold is met, it instantly transitions. There is no halfway. In the same way, your leap doesn't happen when you push harder, but when your frequency locks fully into the new state. Effort is a slower mechanism than alignment. The quantum field doesn't care how tirelessly you work. It responds only to purity of vibration. One moment of resonance does more than weeks of scattered action. So when you notice things falling away, friendships, jobs, even aspects of yourself, resist the urge to ask, how do I bring them back? Instead, ask, what space is this clearing for me? That single shift from resistance to receptivity changes your signal completely. In the field, resistance is static. It scrambles your broadcast. Receptivity is clarity. It summons the exact reality already waiting for you. And here lies the paradox. The more you try to rush this stage, the longer it drags on. Think of it as a decompression chamber between who you've been and who you're becoming. In diving, ascend too quickly, and you risk the bends. Your body cannot handle the sudden pressure change. Spiritually, the same law applies. If you leap without integration, your system pulls you back to stabilize. Patience, trust, and presence are not passive. They are the most active elements of your leap. So if you feel your life half erased, standing in the rubble of what no longer fits, but unable to glimpse what's ahead, understand this. You are exactly where you need to be. This is not delay. This is ignition. The tension you feel is energy gathering, winding itself to propel you into the reality that already exists for you in the quantum field. Your only task is to loosen your grip on the old boat and let the current of the new one carry you. Because here's the truth. Your leap isn't waiting for perfect timing. It's waiting for the aligned you. And the instant you stop trying to salvage what's dissolving and instead align with what's emerging, the field locks around you like a magnet. That's the moment the shift becomes seamless, obvious, and so inevitable you'll wonder why you ever doubted. In the hours before a leap, your emotions may surge. It feels as if someone turned the volume up on every feeling. One moment you're alive with excitement, certain something extraordinary is near. The next, doubt seeps in, whispering maybe you imagined it all. This isn't instability. It's the emotional fingerprint of transition. Neuroscience explains it. The brain runs on predictive coding, constantly projecting what it expects from past patterns. Even as your higher self pulls you forward, your subconscious clings to the old program. It feels safer. Quantum physics describes this as superposition, the uncanny state where multiple outcomes coexist. You are in both realities at once, the one you've been living and the one forming. Your emotions flicker between them. So when joy swings into uncertainty, don't mistake it for failure. It's a sign the field is searching for coherence. The stronger the oscillation, the closer you are to collapse when one timeline becomes the only one. This is why emotions surge so intensely before a leap. Your inner compass is recalibrating in real time. Every memory, belief, and attachment is being scanned. Does this belong in the new reality? Or is it an artifact of the old? That sorting process is emotional, because emotions are the body's chemical signals of change. They tell you you're in unfamiliar territory, and the body's instinct is to cling to what it knows even when it's misaligned. The error most people make here is believing that doubt means they're failing. They assume, If I were close to my leap, I wouldn't feel fear. But that's like thinking turbulence means a plane isn't flying. In truth, turbulence means you're moving through atmospheric layers that demand adjustment. Your emotions, then, are simply altitude shifts. The faster you learn to ride the currents instead of gripping in panic, the smoother the journey becomes. Here's a reframe. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, see them as energy signatures. Joy, excitement, fear, uncertainty, they're all just currents flowing through your field. None are wrong. They simply show you where your attention rests right now. If you treat them as barriers, you amplify the oscillation. If you watch them as indicators, you begin to steady your frequency toward the reality you seek. From a spiritual view, these intensified feelings are an initiation. The universe is asking, can you remain coherent while the winds shift? Because the reality you're entering will bring its own unknowns. Your ability to remain steady now is training for thriving later. Emotional turbulence is not a test. You can fail. It's the strengthening of your vibrational stability. A practice that accelerates stabilization is conscious neutrality. When excitement swells, don't cling to it as the only proof you're on track. When doubt arises, don't treat it as a red flag. Instead, breathe through both states. Know they are passing weather within a much larger sky. Imagine yourself as the still center of a storm, watching the clouds shift but unmoved at the core. This is mastery, and it is the mark of someone seconds away from collapsing fully into their chosen reality. So if your emotions feel like they're all over the map, don't assume you're unstable. You're in motion. The field is adjusting to hold you in the vibration of your new timeline, and the more gracefully you ride the waves, the faster they converge into one solid reality. Many expect the final stage before a leap to be some grand exam. The universe is a stern teacher, red pen in hand, but it's far more intimate. It's not the universe questioning your worth. It's your subconscious surfacing its last fragments, giving you the chance to consciously release them. You may find yourself repeating old triggers, a conversation that pushes buttons you thought you'd outgrown, a money stress that reignites past scarcity, or doubt that echoes old voices. These are not punishments. They are mirrors showing you the frequency you once lived in, asking if you want to keep living there. Neuroscience reminds us the brain favors efficiency. It runs the most worn pathways first, the familiar beliefs, reactions, and habits. When you're on the brink of a leap, those neural grooves still fire, hoping for one last confirmation. The way to rewrite them isn't force, it's demonstration, acting as the new self even in the presence of the old triggers. Each time you respond from higher alignment, you weaken the old circuit and strengthen the new. In quantum terms, this is the collapse of the probability wave. Until you choose, both versions exist. The moment you embody the aligned version, the old collapses and the new stabilizes as your broadcast. That's why final challenges feel so loaded. They are the last overlap between who you've been and who you're becoming. Spiritually, it's less a test and more a rite of passage. You stand at the threshold, key in hand, and the only requirement is to respond as the self you've been calling in. If you meet scarcity with gratitude, anger with compassion, doubt with presence, you're not just symbolically ready. You are vibrationally locked. The field doesn't judge you, it mirrors you. And in this moment, who you are being is everything. The danger is misinterpretation. Many believe that if old challenges resurface, they've regressed. In truth, the very appearance of these patterns means you've shifted enough for them to flush out. You cannot clear what you haven't outgrown. The fact that you notice them now and pause to respond differently is proof you're nearly through. Think of a flight simulator. Pilots train for turbulence in safe conditions, so they're prepared when it's real. These resurfacing triggers are your simulator runs. They give you the chance to prove to yourself that you can fly steady in conditions that once shook you. Each time you choose differently, you're no longer rehearsing the new reality, you're living it. So if you feel tension, setbacks, or old faces returning, don't assume you're stuck. See it as the clearest sign you're pressing against the threshold of your leap. This is the moment to hold alignment most fiercely, to act as if the leap has already happened, because in the quantum sense it has. Anchor it now. Declare into the field, I am ready to cross. Let that be your signal. And here's what few tell you. Your leap rarely announces itself. In stories, the transformation is dramatic trumpets, fireworks, obvious before and after. But in reality, quantum shifts often arrive quietly. You wake one morning and realize the fear is gone. The problem that consumed you feels irrelevant. The trigger that used to unravel you barely moves your heart. The leap doesn't shout. It settles. It becomes who you are.
And because it feels so natural, your mind may try to minimize it. Was that all?
But that's the beauty. Quantum change rarely looks theatrical. It looks inevitable. You are not falling apart, you are falling into alignment. Breathe, trust, and let yourself be carried. Your new reality is closer than you think.